The evening I parted with my drill press to cover the rent, I returned to hear my wife chuckling about how dull I am. Picture this: 37 years fixing aircraft, 2 decades squeezing into turbine bays with oil-soaked knees, welding in scorching 100 degrees heat, or shivering on a midnight tarmac, all for a pension I cashed out early to give us a leg up. Now, at 62, I stood in my hallway drenched in sweat through a shop uniform reeking of coolant, clutching a bag of fried chicken I knew she'd ignore, feeling like a specter holding a wallet. There she was in the living room, draped in a cashmere blanket I paid off over 6 months, phone tilted just so, lighting perfect. She was video chatting with one of her wine club pals, the ones who dub me Mr. Steady like it's an insult. Her voice floated through the doorway. "He's nice, but come on, not thrilling." Giggles echoed from both sides. I didn't let the food slip. I didn't barge in. I lingered just long enough for the sting to harden into something tougher. She didn't notice me slip by, too caught up twirling her hair, sipping from a stemless glass I'm pretty sure still had its price tag. I set the takeout on the counter beside a pile of unopened credit card bills, all hers, all settled, every cent balanced by me. She's clueless about the tools I've sold this month, unaware I've been skipping meals and sneaking in Saturday overtime, claiming I got lost in time at the park. She doesn't know the vacation fund she brags about to her sister came from me hawking my vintage socket set, a gift from my dad when I hit 21. All gone. She calls me kind like a pushover, kind like a sap, kind like the guy who clears your debts while you flirt in group chats and sip sparkling wine under twinkling lights. I swung open the fridge, nothing but oat milk, a half-squeezed lemon, and a takeout box with her name scrawled in pink marker. The last beer? Vanished again. On the table sat the folder, Power of Attorney, Emma, still sealed from the bank, resting there like a loaded pistol with the safety engaged. I recall signing it after her appendix scare last year. She sobbed in the ER about needing security. I signed, handed over medical and financial control, everything, because marriage means trust. It means shielding each other. But in that dim kitchen, with the overhead light buzzing and her laughter slicing through the hall like a blade to the back, it hit me. Trust swings both ways, and she bolted her side shut months ago. I lifted the envelope, felt its deceptive lightness turn heavy as stone. I didn't tear it open, not yet, just stared like a man eyeing a switch he knows he'll flip someday. Right then, I knew I'd made my final payment, not just to the furniture store, not just for her boutique cards, streaming services, lash appointments, or the trainer she sees twice weekly while lying about it. No, I was done bankrolling the fantasy. Her words, sharp and careless, had carved something open, not rage, not even grief, but something icier. I glanced at my hands, rough, burn scars on my left palm, grime under nails no scrub could erase. I used to think that made me reliable. She thinks it makes me tedious. The kicker? I bought her line for years. No more. Sleep didn't come that night, not from anger or restlessness, but because I chose to stay awake. A strange clarity washes over a man when he sees he's been pouring into a lie with escalating costs. You stop feeling, you start strategizing. At 1:13 a.m. I sat at my garage desk, just a folding table crammed between old engine parts and my daughter's boxed-up childhood toys, and opened my spreadsheet labeled Life_EM. Not her name, just initials like a project, a maintenance log, mortgage covered through December, utilities on auto draft, her credit card balance at $3,312.74, the last of her investment pieces. She just had to have a velvet couch that looks like it's from a pop star's penthouse, not the living room of a guy with creaky knees. I paid it off, not out of desire, but for closure. I didn't want her claiming I abandoned her in chaos. I wanted a clean, precise cut. I clicked Confirm Payment, watched the progress bar, transaction done. Leaning back, I closed the spreadsheet and stared at it in the file explorer, life_em.xlsx. My cursor hovered, then I hit delete. The system asked if I was sure. I grinned, I'd never been sure. I cleared the trash bin. A faint hum filled the garage, the fridge kicking on, the street lamp outside flickering. I didn't check the time, I just gazed at the screen, a blank desktop, no bills, no tabs, just quiet. Then my eyes caught a folder, unopened for over a year, legal_Emma_PA. I clicked it. Scans of the document, my signature, her name, her rights, pages of fine print I skimmed back then because I trusted her not to weaponize them. Because I thought marriage was a partnership. Because I believed love meant handing over every key, even the ones they'd never use. The digital files glared back like an old wound. I didn't open the PDFs. I didn't need to. I knew what they held and what came next. I wasn't mad. I was drained. And in that exhaustion, a switch flipped. No more excuses. No more waiting for her to grow up, stabilize, or find her footing. She'd rooted herself in my life like ivy, slowly strangling everything solid I'd built. And I allowed it. But that payment was the last brick. The final patch on a ship I was ready to abandon. I closed the folder, duplicated it, encrypted it, uploaded it to a private drive, then opened a new note on my desktop titled Exit. No drama, no fury, just order, clarity. A plan taking shape, silent as a shadow. Because when you've spent your life repairing machines, you learn the break isn't sudden. The bolts loosen, the metal wears, then snap, it's done. She called me kind. She didn't know I could be precise. By morning, she was back to humming in the kitchen as if the night before never happened. Some trendy pop song blared from her phone, her socked feet gliding over the linoleum like a kid playing house. She poured oat milk into a mason jar, sprinkled cinnamon, snapped a photo, captioned it. Self-care begins with breakfast. Hot beverage sparkles. I watched her post it online while the sink overflowed with dishes. I stayed silent, leaning in the doorway, sipping gas station coffee, watching her craft a dream life built on credit and my aching back. Her hair was flawless, nails fresh, phone case glittering. My world was receipts and grit. Hers was filters and daydreams. Later, I spotted a thick envelope in the mail, cream-colored, embossed with rose gold foil, screaming overpriced fluff. I opened it at the garage table. Dear Mr. Michael Thompson, thank you for opening your new Maison Prive card. Your temporary limit is $7,500. I froze. No signature, no heads up. Just like that, she'd used my name. I didn't tear it up. I scanned it, front and back, filed the images in a folder I'd renamed that morning, Emma_asset_activity. The original went into a manila envelope labeled pending. Quiet. Methodical. Back inside, she was on her phone again, laughing. Her voice softened, the tone she used when she wanted something. I pretended to flip through TV channels, but her words cut through. I just think the West Coast could be a new chapter. She laughed. My husband? Oh, he's sweet. Dependable. Dependable. Like a spare tire, a safety net, a fire escape. The guy she was talking to, Jake, I later found out was a realtor in Palm Springs. One of those slick, cologne-soaked types with perfect brows and inspirational quotes in his profile. I didn't confront her about him. Didn't need to. She left digital trails like a kid with paint on their hands. She mentioned a girls' trip coming up, loud enough for me to hear. We'll be near Coachella. Maybe we'll crash it. Ha, she said, laughing to herself as if I'd challenge her, as if I cared. I nodded, sipping my coffee. Sounds fun. She hesitated, trying to gauge me. I gave her nothing. Because here's the deal, guys like me don't shout. We document. We don't lash out. We extract carefully, quietly, permanently. By week's end, she'd opened 3 new tabs on my browser, designer clothing sites, Airbnb listings in Joshua Tree, and a GoFundMe for someone's yoga retreat. All signs of a woman building a parallel life on a foundation she thought I'd never shake. She had no clue I'd already started dismantling the supports. The more she performed, the more I withdrew. Every pouty selfie, every vague post about choosing joy, every flirty message she thought I missed, it all solidified something in me. Not anger, not revenge, just determination. She called me dependable. She didn't know I was the shelter quietly pulling up stakes. It began on a Tuesday. Tuesdays are perfect for clean breaks. No one expects anything on a Tuesday, no gestures, no scenes, no milestones or traps. Just a forgettable workday that leaves no mark. That morning, I rose as usual, poured 2 mugs of coffee, hers with oat milk, mine black, and placed them on the counter. She didn't notice. She was too busy video chatting her friend Lauren, flaunting a new pair of boots she hadn't paid for. I kissed her forehead. She smiled, distracted, mumbled, "Thanks, Han," like I was her personal assistant. 10 minutes later, I walked into West Point Federal with a manila folder and a smile that didn't touch my eyes. "I need to remove a cosigner from a personal credit file," I told the teller. She pulled up the account, blinked twice, and looked at me like I'd sprouted horns. "Are you sure, Mr. Thompson?" "Absolutely." Paperwork signed. Stamp applied. That was her boutique card severed at the source. Still usable for a few days, but fading. Next, the accounts. Emma loved the word ours. Our couch, our home, our funds. So I made it mine. I shifted most of the joint savings into a new irrevocable trust for my daughter, Hannah, 35, married, grounded, the type who reads fine print. Emma once called her uptight. That uptightness just became Emma's barrier. I left a small checking account open, enough to keep things running briefly before the tap shut off. I wanted her to feel it gradually, not in one blow. A sudden crash invites sympathy. Slow decay looks like life's natural fallout. Then came the P.O. box, the same one I'd used 2 decades back for vendor gigs. Still in my name, still at the same rundown branch beside a liquor store with a flickering neon sign that hadn't been fixed since the 90s. The clerk unlocked the unit, gave me a familiar nod, and I paid for a year up front, redirecting all my financial mail there. Bank statements, car titles, anything that carried real weight. As I left, I passed a woman about Emma's age, bickering with her boyfriend over speakerphone. Her voice snapped, "What, you don't trust me?" It struck a chord. Emma would toss out the same line soon enough. "Why didn't you tell me first?" Because telling her meant dodging her deflections. It meant her twisting things, saying, "You're just paranoid." So I acted instead. When I got home, she was busy posting an Instagram poll, "Ladies, where's our next adventure? Sedona or Palm Springs?" I tapped Sedona just to mess with her. She didn't ask where I'd been, didn't spot the bank papers peeking out of my jacket, didn't catch the shift in my posture. She glided through the apartment like a feather, certain the breeze would always lift her. What she didn't realize was I'd already snipped the strings. That night, while she scrolled through spa deals, I grabbed a yellow legal pad and jotted 3 lines, boutique card canceled. POA documents next. Home equity plan in progress. She dozed off, nestled in a heap of throw pillows from her eco-friendly subscription box. I sat in the garage with a lukewarm beer, staring blankly, the faint hum of the cooling car engine in the driveway filling the silence. My life had been tethered to hers like an old trailer hitched to a sleek convertible, always lagging, always excusing the clatter. No more. One screw at a time, I was unhooking it. And when it finally broke free, she'd still be glancing in the mirror, puzzled why the load felt so light. It went down in the candle aisle of some pricey boutique with clean fonts and $48 soy candles labeled Ocean Mist. Emma adored that place, claimed it soothed her soul, whatever that meant. She'd wander through it like a kid in a candy store, humming softly, pretending she was at a beachside spa instead of a strip mall in Ohio. I stood nearby, hands stuffed in my jacket, watching her arrange 3 candles and a knit blanket on the counter like she was curating a shrine. When the cashier tallied it up, she flashed her usual smile, head cocked, eyes sparkling, a little act honed from years of getting her way. Then she swiped her boutique card. Declined. The machine let out a harsh beep, jarring the air. She chuckled. "That's odd," she said, smile still in place. "Run it again." Beep. Declined. Her smile faded a notch, maybe 15%. She clutched the card, staring at it like it had stabbed her in the back. "This is so strange," she said, Louder now, for the cashier, me, and whatever forces oversee high-end credit lines. Must be a glitch in their system. I stayed quiet at first, just observed as she swiped her backup card and sealed the purchase with a smile that didn't quite stick. In the car, she flung her wallet onto the passenger seat with a bit too much force. Maison Prive's been so glitchy lately, she grumbled. Probably flagged it for some random purchase. I'll call them tomorrow. I clicked my seatbelt. Could be fraud, I offered. You should check. She huffed. Yeah, I said I would. I nodded. Just saying, better to be cautious. Especially since it's in my name. That hung in the air. She didn't respond, just gazed out the window as we left the lot, her fingers drumming nervously on the armrest. She didn't touch her phone, didn't fire off a text. And Emma? She always texted someone. At home, she was quieter than usual. Played music from her bedroom, not the living room. Lit a new candle and took a bath without broadcasting it online. I lingered in the garage, shuffling tools pointlessly, letting the hours slip by. By bedtime, she hadn't brought up the card again, which meant it either didn't faze her or it gnawed at her more than she'd let on. A tiny fracture, sure, but I know machines. Once a crack forms just right, you don't need a sledgehammer. Time does the rest. Late that night, I logged into the boutique account, my name, my control, and pulled up the statement. Suspicious activity, I told them when I reported the card compromised. They asked if I wanted a new one. I said no. We'll shut the account then. Perfect, I said. Should we notify the secondary user? Nope, I said. Let her stew. Let her sit with that spark of doubt, that creeping unease she'll try to drown in chamomile tea and mood playlists. Let her burn candles and pretend the room isn't filling with smoke. She thinks I'm kind, steady, predictable. She's mistaken. I'm the pipe leaking under the floor she didn't notice until it buckled the whole foundation. The car was the final knot, a silver midsize SUV with fake leather seats and a yoga mat forever bunched up in the back. She called it just a ride, but treated it like a mobile billboard of her status. Always pristine, always parked just so, like it belonged to someone important. I co-signed for it 2 years ago, back when I still thought we were building a shared future. She chose the model, the extras, even the custom plate. I just signed and covered the down payment. She never asked about the lease balance, and I never mentioned it. Until now. I waited for her Pilates class, Tuesdays at 10:15, like clockwork. She left in her workout gear, tossing a kiss from the doorway while texting someone else, probably Lauren or Jake the realtor. The moment her taillights vanished, I pulled out my folder labeled exit_active_steps and called the dealership. I'd like to pay off the lease I co-signed. A pause. Keys clicking. Yes, I know it's early. No inspection needed. I'll take the terms. Another pause. Yes, transfer the title to my name only. 20 minutes. $9,470.12. Paid in full. It stung, even for me, but I didn't flinch. I wanted it done. Final. Ironclad. They offered to mail the title standard. No, I said. Certified. Signature required. I printed the payment receipt, folded it neatly, and tucked it into a cream envelope with the title transfer notice. Copies only. The real title would come later. This was just the opening move. I addressed it by hand, Emma Thompson. Our address in sharp letters below. Personal. Do not discard. Then I drove to the post office, the same one with my P.O. box. The clerk recognized me, asked if I wanted tracking. I gave a faint smile. You bet. I want to know the second it hits. Back in the garage, I eyed the stack of finished tasks. Bank split, trust secured, credit frozen, boutique card axed, car settled. She had no idea the ground was gone. She was still twirling on a carpet, thinking it was solid oak. That evening, she came home radiant. I booked the Palm Springs flight, she announced, flashing her phone like a prize. You'll be fine here, right? I nodded slowly, watching her toss her keys onto the counter. She didn't know they weren't hers anymore. Sure, I said. Have a blast. I'd be here. Long enough for the last envelopes to arrive. Long enough for her engine to stall mid-journey. She never valued the car, just a ride, she'd said. Funny, that's all I was to her too. Until now. She found them in the mailbox on a Thursday afternoon, still in her yoga tights, still buzzing from hot stone massage deals she'd been sharing with her group chat. 2 envelopes, both crisp, both official, one from Maison Prive, one from the DMV. She tore into the boutique letter first, expecting some glossy ad for their summer collection. Instead, it read, "Dear Mr. Thompson, due to repeated flagged transactions and a contested ownership claim, your account has been terminated. Any outstanding balance has been voided under fraud protection. No further charges will be accepted." She blinked. Read it again. And again. Fraud, she mumbled, the word sounding alien on her tongue. The DMV envelope was slimmer. She ripped it open faster, fingers now jittery. This notice confirms the transfer of vehicle ownership from Thompson, Emma to Thompson, Michael, as authorized and notarized by the primary leaseholder. The title is now issued solely in the new name. She let out a sound, part scoff, part choke, then scanned the living room like someone might step out and clarify. She snatched her phone and opened the bank app. Wrong password. Tried again. Wrong password. Access revoked. Contact primary account holder. Her thumb froze over the screen. The pink nail polish she'd gotten yesterday suddenly seemed childish, frivolous, useless. She called me once, twice, 3 times. Voicemail. She texted, "Hey, something's off with the bank. Can you look into it? Did you cancel my card? Why's the car in your name?" No answer. The 4th call, she skipped pleasantries, diving in the second it hit voicemail. "Michael, what's going on? I'm locked out of everything, and I got some letters saying I don't own the car I drive. If this is a mistake, you need to fix it. Call me now." She paced the apartment, picking up the car keys and setting them down repeatedly. She grabbed her laptop, tried logging into the financial portal. Access denied. Everything that once opened seamlessly, the boutique perks, the shared accounts, the car title, now barred. Like locks changed on a home she thought was hers. The quiet was louder than any argument I could have started. By the time she checked the drawer for our old records, it was empty. I'd cleared out every trace, tax forms, account details, backup drives gone. Her breathing grew shallow, the kind of panic that doesn't explode. It unravels. Slow. Messy. She called Lauren, left a frantic voicemail. Then Jake, straight to voicemail. She paced, swore, lit a candle, snuffed it out. By nightfall, the apartment felt tighter, the walls inching in, the silence heavier. She opened a bottle of wine, one of her weekday ones, and sank onto the couch, trying to piece together the day. She kept murmuring to herself, "It's just a glitch, a system error." He wouldn't. But the phone stayed silent, and every glance at the keys on the counter made them feel less hers. Because they weren't. Not anymore. She waited until I came home. Didn't say a word as I stepped inside. No cheek kiss, no "how was work?" Just stood there, barefoot, arms crossed, face taut, like she'd practiced her lines a dozen times and still couldn't nail the delivery. I walked past, calm, carrying a stack of fresh laundry from the garage dryer, set it on the dining table, and started folding like it was any other night. She trailed after me. "What's happening here?" I folded a pair of jeans, mine. The ones with the grease mark on the knee she once mocked. "Just doing laundry," I said. "I'm not joking, Michael." Her tone sharpened, the way it did when a barista messed up her latte or her salon ran late. "The card. The car. The bank. I'm locked out of everything. What are you doing?" I stacked a t-shirt. "Streamlining things." That caught her off guard. Not the groveling she expected. Not the retreat. Just those words, crisp and final, like a paid receipt. "Streamlining," she echoed. "You call cutting me off from everything streamlining?" I paired a sock. "Less clutter, fewer headaches." "God, Michael, this is unhinged. You're being vicious. You're blowing this out of proportion." I met her eyes, steady and calm. "Over what?" Her lips parted, then clamped shut. She couldn't say it. Couldn't admit you heard me call you dull. Couldn't confess she'd been exposed, not out of remorse, but because saying it made it undeniable. Instead, she blinked rapidly and pivoted. This isn't how grown-ups solve issues. You're acting like a spiteful kid. No, I said, folding the last shirt. I'm acting like a guy who realized the problem wasn't the debt. It was who I was covering it for. Her breath caught. That's when the panic crept in, not loud, not theatrical, just a glint in her eyes. The dawning that this game had stakes she never studied because she assumed she'd never need to. You can't just. Michael, I'm stranded right now. You shut it all down without a heads up. I thought we were partners. You were calling the shots, I said, setting the clothes neatly on the chair. You chose the moves. I just kept footing the bill. You don't get to do this, she shot back. Already done. Silence dropped like a heavy drape. No shouting. No dishes smashed. Just her in the doorway of a home she didn't truly own, watching me fold the last threads of her fantasy. She didn't yell. She didn't sob. Because this wasn't the kind of loss you wail over. It was the kind that festers in your chest like damp rot, silent, suffocating, gradual. She scanned the room, maybe seeing it anew, the couch she picked but I financed, the lamp she called tacky but I fixed when it fritzed, the wall of her curated photo prints, the lease in my name alone. She stood there like a visitor who'd lingered too long. I grabbed the basket, brushed past her, and said, "Let me know if you need anything for your trip." She blinked. "What trip?" "Palm Springs," I said. "You booked it, right?" Her face crumpled for a split second, then hardened. No reply. I headed to the bedroom, shut the door softly, no slam, no drama. From the other side, I heard nothing, no accusations, no pleas, just the faint buzz of consequences settling in. The final letter came in a thick navy envelope, law firm logo, silver embossed seal, her name in bold across the front like a headline she wished she could unsee. It was Saturday morning. I was outside, securing a loose gutter clip when the courier handed it to her. From the ladder, I saw her take it with the forced courtesy of someone hoping it was a mix-up. Even then, she managed to smile. She shut the door. 30 seconds later, I heard it. Paper ripping, then quiet, then the heavy thud of her dropping to the floor. She didn't call out for me. She just sat there. Inside that envelope were 3 items, a certified letter revoking the power of attorney she'd used to open accounts in my name, filed, signed, and timestamped, the law firm she loved to brag about, the one we used for Aunt Linda's estate, had now wiped her from mine, a document stripping her as my medical proxy, no more acting as my voice in hospitals, no more authority over any choice, financial, legal, or otherwise. If I'm ever out cold, it'll be Hannah signing the forms. Not the woman who called me dependable, a property ownership amendment filed with the county, her name erased from any shared equity. She never invested in this house, never paid a dime toward the mortgage, but I let her believe she had a stake. That delusion ended with my signature and a notary stamp. She treated access like ownership. She called it ours because it felt sweet. But there's nothing sweet about betraying trust. Now there was nothing left for her to unlock, claim, or steer. I didn't see her again until late afternoon. She was on the couch, no TV, no playlist, no candle glowing, just staring blankly. The envelope lay on the coffee table, its contents spread out like evidence at a trial. She didn't ask for an explanation. She didn't raise her voice. She grabbed her phone and started calling. First Lauren, voicemail. Then her sister. No pickup. Then Jake. Blocked. Each unanswered call sank her deeper. Shoulders slumping, voice fading. She tried texting. No responses. Whatever allure she thought she wielded vanished when the funds dried up. I walked by to grab a soda from the fridge. She looked up, eyes glassy and wide, but said nothing. She wanted me to toss her a lifeline, a word, a hint to pull her back. I offered nothing because this wasn't a discussion. It was a ruling. For years, She'd stood on a platform of ease, thinking the supports were bolted tight. She never noticed the quiet dismantling, the bolts I loosened, the beams I removed one by one over months. And now the storm had hit. She started trembling, not from the cold, but from the weight of it sinking in. Not one account, not one name on a deed, not one legal tie she couldn't cut with a single stroke of ink. Everything she thought anchored her was never hers to begin with, and now it was all gone. Exactly 1 week later, the last gate closed with a hush. The knock came early at the apartment. Emma opened the door in the same robe she'd worn for 3 days. Makeup streaked, nails chipped, mascara smudging her eyes like shadows from a battle she wasn't ready for. The courier was courteous. "For Emma Thompson. Sign here, please." She signed without looking. Muscle memory. She was still acting like her name carried clout. The envelope was plain white, wax seal. No sender listed. Inside, a single sheet and a small, thick card. The sheet was a receipt. Payment to Lux Home Designs, $3,312.74. Direct transfer, Michael Thompson, status paid in full. The card was handwritten in navy ink, my old mechanic's pen, steady block letters. Debt settled. So am I. M. No venom, no parting jab, just that. She stood in the hallway, rooted, card in one hand, receipt in the other, like a shopper holding a non-returnable item. Then she turned, finally seeing it. The apartment was stripped. Half her belongings boxed, the rest vanished. The vintage console she flaunted online, donated. The framed beach photo she never hung, sold. Her name wasn't on the lease, never was. She just never checked. The Wi-Fi was dead. Streaming apps logged out. Her laptop locked. Admin reset by me days earlier. The shared calendar wiped clean. The phone bill under my account canceled. She tried unlocking her phone, but her Face ID failed. One by one, every entry to my life had sealed shut. Quietly, smoothly, without regret. She tried texting me. Message undelivered. She sank onto the edge of the bed. My bed, to be clear, and stared at the box labeled personal_miscellaneous. Her handwriting. She'd packed it for our storage unit a year ago. I left it on the floor that morning before I left. Inside, receipts, old coupons, a keychain that said Mrs. T, and the spa voucher I gave her for our 2nd anniversary. Never used. She checked the fridge bare. Pantry, empty. She opened her laptop again, frantic, typing into dead fields. Every password failed. Every try ended the same, access denied. She curled up on the couch, the one thing I left her, and stared at the locked screen. Not just the laptop. Her life, her schemes, her assumptions, her cushy, curated world. Frozen. She once called me dependable, but dependability is just quiet until it isn't. By sunset, I was 2 hours north, in a lakeside cabin. No signal, no noise, just the ripple of water and my own breath. She called it dull. I called it freedom. She was left with her name, her robe, and a locked phone in a space that was no longer hers. No accounts, no title, no place at the table. Debt cleared. So was I.